Hari Om. In the previous segments, we've been speaking at length on setting up a sacred space within our house, within our home, where we live. Even if this be a place in nature, it should be a place where we designate time for God. But previously, we've been speaking about setting up a sacred space and getting the body in position, getting all the accoutrements in a way that they will be non-distracting to the combination of relaxation of the body and concentration of the mind. But now we should start to begin to concentrate and try to talk about getting the mind in position. We alluded to this in the last section when we said that we surround ourselves with items of holy people or even deities, and we place things of beauty around them, whether it be incense, flowers, lights, those things which are vehicles for our devotion. But really what we're trying to do is to focus our attention, focus our senses into a window through heaven. So we will begin to perceive and be influenced by those things which are divine. Now, of course, we're still working with the five senses, so with our eyes closed, even sitting in a conducive place for meditation, the senses are still at work. Because the action of the senses in Sanskrit is called matra, which literally means to measure. And what the senses do, they measure the objects of the perceived world around them. And to the degree and limit and expanse that we allow the senses to measure and take in that which is around us, our mind is affected by that because the constant input of the objects of the senses. But in meditation, we're trying to limit the measuring of the senses and focus it within. Even while doing that, the senses have a world of imagination and memory and past impressions to work on. So while we're trying to focus, whether it be on the name of God or just to try to keep the mind still, we still are at war in a sense with the action of the senses. So we must have a plan, a remedy, when the mind inwardly starts to deal in worlds of memory and imagination. It has been told by the saints that what we can do is to literally bring the image mentally before us of holy ones, of divine sacred objects. I know a great saint in India who, even though he never left the East, he would close his eyes, and then when distractions would come, he would imagine three personages who come before him. And believe it or not, even though an avid Hindu, the Buddha was the center. Sri Ramakrishna, which is in his lineage, was on one side, and Jesus Christ was on the other. And he did this because they represented to him not only beings of great compassion and mercy, but the Buddha being the epitome of mind control and renunciation. Sri Ramakrishna, again, renunciation, but also divinity, as all three, in a sense, represented divinity. And Jesus Christ, the compassion and love of God for man. If we do this, we'll find the mind calms down, because now the senses, though engaged in an internal, in a sense, struggle or battle, are now measuring amidst the difficulties of distractions, divine influence. And so this will cause the mind to be still. Also, we must understand something that Anandamoyi Ma said, that when distractions come, it doesn't mean we're having a difficult or bad meditation. She used the word tapa sahana. Two Sanskrit words, T-A-P-A, tapa, which comes from tapas, which means heat, heat producing, austerity that produces heat. And sahana comes from sahaja, which means the natural abiding within this heat of distraction. So instead of trying to close our eyes and grit our teeth and say, oh, go away, all distractions. Yes, we bring divine personages before our eyes mentally, and if the distractions are strong, we open our eyes briefly, though it's not recommended, but if necessity calls for it, gaze physically upon someone, something, some divine image which will uplift our mind. But the tapasahana is literally enduring the heat of the distraction. This is most conducive and most easily successful when we're calling on the name of the God or the name of any Lord, and we're sitting and we're thinking of that name and concentrating on three things. First, yes, as we spoke, we're watching our breath to keep the rhythm of the meditation moving. With inhalation and exhalation, we're invoking the divine name. Or if we're not using a mantra, we're sitting with the breath and letting the mind be calm. Second, if we're using a mantra, we're listening to the sound of that name. And third thing is, we're actually feeling that this invocation is producing a divine presence. So now we're steeped in divinity, but distractions come. So we sit through the distractions, whether it be mental upheaval or physical distractions of the body. We sit happily and we just endure. This is why the Buddha said patient endurance is the key to success. Also in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna, in chapter 5, verse 13, he said, renouncing all actions with the mind. The embodied one sits happily as the ruler within the city of 9 gates, not acting at all, nor causing action. The 9 gates, literally, not only the 5 senses, but also the apertures of the body. We control them. That doesn't mean we restrain them. It means we actually move our attention and our concentration and focus away from them and put them upward. Put them into the divine. So this is what is meant by keeping images close to us, that we may gaze upon them for the act of purification, that we may become rulers of that which, in a sense, for most people, they become enslaved by the senses. So meditation now is a way to free ourselves. As Sri Ramana Maharshi said, this is done literally by not attacking those distractions, but just persevering in witness of them. And as each thought comes out, as a soldier comes out of a fort, that thought is superimposed over with a divine thought. And that relinquishes and melts and finally destroys the negative or distractive thought. And as he said, as the soldiers issue out of the fort of the mind and senses, we will be victorious, because one by one, as they issue out, we will weaken the strength of the mind. So we sit and focus on the divine and let the distractions roll on. And through patient endurance, we will come to know that which is our home, that sacred place where we came from and where we inevitably and without hesitation, we should face that which God puts before us, happily sitting in endurance and love of that which is the creator of all. Mind, senses, body, God put it all before us in order, as Paramahansa Yogananda said, God put us forth in this creation to play with us. So let God play, and let us play along by giving to him back which he gave to us through compassion.